I wish these guys would start off with the somber stuff first. And the funny stuff last. Because I'm getting to look like a fool up here. The last 30 seconds is brutal for me. However, I do have another. I'm telling you. It's maybe the last one unless I think of a couple. I'm not Ooh, clapped. I had a note here, and I lost it. Maybe that was better. I don't even remember this one, Don. Oh! This is kind of a personal note. Don Burns, thanks for all the memories, especially Marge and all her girlfriends. Lovingly the Rangers of Governor Dodge State Park. That's somewhat of an inside joke. I do have another. I do have another announcement. Don Burns, this is a message. Your 12 snowmobiles and 6 boats are all tuned up and ready to be picked up Northwoods Snow and Ski. So that's along with your 4 organs. You know, when I looked at this and I said 12 names speaking about Don Burns, this could go on forever and it's going to get very boring, but you know what? We could probably go on till 4 or 5 in the morning. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Ken Ulrich. Before Ken speaks, you know, Ken Janisek mentioned there's no driver-in stories. I've got a classic driver-in story, though, real quick. Don told me this story about 5, 6 years ago. He said there was a kid that was really a poor driver. He was doing so poorly, Don said, let's just pull off the road. So the kid pulled off the road. He's on the shoulder. Don says, get out of the car, let's change drivers. So they did. Except the kid forgot to put it in park, forgot to put the parking brake on. Now the car is going down the shoulder, and the kid is chasing the car. Don did not stop the car. He made the kid run at least 200 yards to catch up to the car, jump into the car, stop the car, put it in park, set the parking brake, and then change drivers. That is a true story, along with the fact that one student once paid the toll with the window still in the up position. Threw the coins, they bounced off the window, into the car, and ever since then he tells him to roll the window down. At this point, Ken Ulrich.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm probably the Bob Uecker of Glenbard West baseball. I hold Coach Burns personally responsible for ruining what could have been a pretty promising big league career. I mean, I came into Glenbard West probably a lifetime 250 hitter in Little League, and people ask me, you know, what did you hit as a varsity baseball player? And I say, oh, and they think I'm just being modest, but in fact, if you look at the record books, that's it, oh. It was really a rather severe 2-year slump. The thing about Don Burns is that whether you're a lifetime 0 hitter or a lifetime 500 hitter, he treated you the same, very badly. I think all of us ball players can relate to his method of positive encouragement, which really brought out the best in all of us. I think all of us have had our names pronounced as Alice, as in nice play Alice, as maybe we flinch at a ground ball going by. I remember one particular occurrence. I was going back on a pop-up, as only I could do. Kind of gliding back, and I reach up, and the ball somehow pops out of my glove. And this booming voice comes out for everyone to hear. Ulrich, next time your mom wants to bronze your glove, make sure you're done using it first. You know, that's really the type of thing that brings out the most in a ball player. And then there was the famous post-game shows. After we'd lose the game, I'm sure we all remember this, we'd all sit there on the bench with our heads kind of hung low, and Coach Burns would walk back and forth sort of like General Patton, and he would describe in vivid detail each and every mistake that was made from the first inning on. And I am rather proud to say that my name was never mentioned in any of those post-game talks. I didn't see a lot of playing time. That might have been something to do with that. But Coach Burns' abuse really it wasn't limited to single ball players. He would say things about the entire team. I was recently reminded that a couple of years ago, Don Burns had a rather light-hitting team, which is fairly typical, I guess, for recent teams. And one of the members of the press asked him to describe what it was like, and he said, well, for them, a 3-2 count is a rally. Most of you probably know that if Don Burns has a single idol, it has to be Babe Ruth. And in watching Don the last couple of years, I'm thinking he's starting to look more and more like Babe Ruth. As a matter of fact, Don Burns wore the uniform number 20 for, I think, years and years and years, and until this year, and apparently he's wearing number 21 now. Now, if you ask him why, he may tell you it's because of superstition or something, but I know the real story is that he just plain outgrew number 20, had to go to 21. And I'm thinking now, it's a good thing he's retiring, because if he gets into triple digits, that's going to be really embarrassing. But I think it's highly appropriate that we roast Don Burns tonight, because as a ball player, I always felt like I was getting roasted by him. But Don Burns to me was more than a baseball coach, which in my case is fortunate. He was really a good friend and really a second father to me, and in a way that I really appreciate, and I think in a way that all of us in the room can relate to. Those of us that got an opportunity to know him off the field realize that beneath the Archie Bunker exterior is a very kind, sensitive, intelligent man, and a man who I'm fortunate to have known. During the past 30 years, he's put up with guys like us, and that's not easy. That takes a lot of patience. And he's had a tremendous impact on all of us. And on behalf of all the players that are here tonight, and all the players that couldn't make it, I'd just like to say thank you very much, and best of luck in your retirement. You certainly earned it.
Thank you, Ken, for the somber ending again. At this point, I'd like to ask, I know you're going to be disappointed, but I think I'm out of telegrams. Although I do have a trick for you here. I hope everyone can see the stage. Now this is impromptu. Now I don't know if anyone's ever seen this before. But if you can see the stage, this is amazing. It'll amaze you. It didn't amaze them. That was supposed to amaze you. I should have stayed with the telegrams. At this time, you know, I was almost tempted to show you what I really look like. I have not had enough wine. If I finish this, you will see me au natural. I just hope I have enough left to introduce Don Burns. At this time, I'd like to introduce Pete Ausili.
better be careful, Russ, because I think you're going to get us emotional in a minute. First, I'd like to thank Marge and Nancy Elliott and all the Burns kids for really doing a wonderful job tonight, because they've done a great. One thing that I've noticed from everybody who's been up here already is that we obviously know the same Don Burns, because everybody seems to be reiterating a lot of the same sentiments. So that's probably going to make my talk real boring, but I'll do the best I can. I've known Don Burns for almost 20 years, and when Marge asked me to say a few words, I first felt honored, but then I realized this would be a good chance for revenge. Because we've all been on the other end for all those years. But then I realized too that it might be too easy to get him when he expects it. I'm more the type to sneak up behind him and try and spear him in the chest with a snowmobile. Which, if you realize, last Christmas, he thinks I tried to do that, but anyway. As anyone who's ever been zinged by Don would know, he can get you anytime and anywhere for absolutely no reason. Well, something happened to me yesterday. I was flying in from Virginia, and I sat next to a rather dirty old man, both literally and figuratively. And as I sat down, he said, "How far are you going, young fella?" And I said, "Well, Chicago, I hope." I didn't want to go any shorter than that. Anyway, during the 2-hour flight, this guy talked to me the whole time. And after I made this comment about hoping to go all the way to Chicago, he said, "Well, I'm not worried because I got the book." Which he showed me. It was in extra large print, you know, about a 1/4 inch, like in the eye doctor's office where he asks you to read the smallest line and you cover your eye and you read the letter E. This is what this book was made for. Well, anyway, he proceeded to tell me that over 65 years, that he was over 65 and he was from rural Virginia, and Don loved this combination. He was a preacher and tree surgeon. But he had survived the war because he had faith and because he had the book. He told me that his only weakness in life had been women. An example was that after the war, he married a woman in San Francisco, and after 2 weeks, she'd spent $4,627, and he never saw her again. But he was going to be okay because he had the book. But everybody else in this world was doomed, and the end was going to come in 5 years and 8 months. But he was okay because he had this book. Well, I finally realized that somehow Don Burns had arranged for this guy to be sitting next to me. I don't know how he did it, but he got me again. And I think we can all relate to that. There was a line in the movie Bull Durham. It goes something like, "Some days you win and some days you lose and some days it rains." Well, with Don Burns, I think we all know that every day you can probably learn something. I won't bore anybody with all the trivial stories because I couldn't compare with some of the good ones that everybody else has been telling. But in learning from Don, I think Don was also learning from his players sometimes. One example would be that he learned about the time that he gave the "I really don't mean it" bunt sign. This was on a Florida trip, and I think we were playing at the world-famous Azalea Bowl in Palatka, Florida. And I don't remember what inning it is, but that's really unimportant. We had the bases loaded and nobody out, and Jeff Reno was up to bat. Don had the perfect situation because Jeff Reno, well, wasn't a real good hitter. He was a pitcher. That's a good excuse. So Jeff gives him the fake bunt sign, hoping the other team is going to pitch out, right? The other team knew exactly what he wanted to do. They pitched out, so Don gives him another fake bunt sign. The guy pitches out again. Don has them right where they want him. Their coach is screaming, throw the ball down the middle. They're not going to bunt. So Don gives Jeff Reno the real bunt sign. I guess it was a double squeeze. So both runners take off. Guy throws a fastball right down the middle. Jeff Reno stands there and takes it. Don comes running down the baseline, screaming his famous line. I won't tell every detail of the conversation, but basically Jeff Reno's explanation for not bunting was that he didn't think Don really meant it. Another story that Don told me, I think just in the last year or two, another example of what he has learned from coaching the game. He's learned that you never give a steal sign to somebody who has postnasal drip. Apparently last year a kid had the steal sign and ran about 80 feet and stopped. He would have had the base stolen easy, but his explanation to Don later was that he had postnasal drip. Another thing that very few of us know about, John Hammond, Doug Jersa, and myself, I think, were there to experience this, but Don, being the ever professional driver's ed instructor, proved that driver's ed instructors never do run out of gas. Except in Portage, Wisconsin, when it's about 10 below on about the 20th of December, which he did last year. To me, Don Burns has been a coach and a teacher and friend, and I can speak only as one of about 500 of his players. I played for him probably 6 or 7 years, either during high school or summer league, American Legion, semi-pro, and I was in the John Cahill, Ken Ulrich class. I wasn't ever one of the stars. I went on 4 trips to Florida with him, 2 as a player and 2 in the early 80s when I helped him coach during the summer. I've been on snowmobile trips with him, and I've stayed in touch over the last 20 years. And I don't know why I'm his friend, but I do know that he's always opened his door to me and a lot of other of his ball players. And I think most of us realize that the door that he's opened has been to his refrigerator. Which probably explains why Don and I have a common goal. We both want to weigh 170 pounds someday. I know that for many of the past 30 years, Don has fought a real lonely struggle on behalf of the baseball program at Glenbard West. And in appreciation of that, I'd really like to thank Don and offer a toast, if I had a drink, but to all of us who are here that lack football mentality. And Don and I have had this conversation a lot of times, so he really knows what I'm talking about. Where's the last 30 seconds, Russ? Don has given more time and effort than anybody could have ever expected in his effort to coach and to teach, whether it was about baseball or the values of life. He's been willing to make tough choices out of principle, even if they might be unpopular and even if the player didn't like him as a result of it. And I think the class of seniors is a symbol of that tonight, or an example of it. Those who didn't realize why he made those choices are probably not here to thank him. It's been said that Tommy Lasorda's blood is Dodger blue, and I don't think we'd be wrong in saying that Don Burns' blood is probably Glenbard green. I think the best symbol of Don and his character and success can really be seen in the 5 wonderful kids that he and Marge have raised. I want to wish Don and Marge the best of luck in the future years and their future as Yoopers, which are people from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And they're really very similar to Larry, Daryl, and Daryl from the Bob Newhart Show. Don, you shouldn't think as though anything is over here. You're retiring. You've worked hard and for many years, and you've earned this retirement. So just think of this as a new season.